Today I'm going to show you 5 simple flower sprays using simple embroidery stitches. Hi everyone, Sarah and Ginger Cat from Sarah Homfray Embroidery. Welcome to my channel. If you'd like to have a go at stitching these flower sprays, there is a free PDF designed for you with all of the designs of these on and the information you need to stitch them. That is on the free stuff page of our website, and you can get to that by clicking on the link in the description below this video to download that PDF. So I'm going to show you the setup that I am using and the materials that I am using, and then I'm going to demonstrate the stitches that we're going to use in these flowers. If you're a confident stitcher and you just want to see how I've applied them to the flower sprays, then you can jump to this chapter here that starts at this time. If you're not so confident or you're new to embroidery, then you can follow along with me, but we have a little project as well, a little stitch sampler project. If you want to learn lots more stitches right from the beginning and have a little practice of them, then do join in this project. I'll put a link to this up here and you can see what's in that playlist and join along and make your own stitch sampler. So let's just run through my setup very quickly. So I'm going to work this on a cotton fabric. It's got a cotton backing behind it. I like that, just makes it a bit more substantial. I'm going to hold it in these table clamps. So I've pinned it to some stretcher bar frames. You can use a ring frame if you like, or you can just hold it in your hand, but I find having 2 hands free helps. So I've got it held in these versatile table clamps. You only really need 1. I have 2 to keep it extra steady under the camera, but 1 is just fine. There we go. Ginger Cat's not interested. So for this project I decided to work it in these linen threads. These are anchor linen and they do strand, so I'm going to try these for this project, but if you don't have these, that's fine. You can use stranded cottons as well. Those are absolutely fine, or any other threads that you want to use. Have a little play with them, have a little bit of fun with them and see what you can create with the threads that you have. I'm also going to add a few extra things in. I've got a couple of silk ribbons. I like a little bit of silk ribbon embroidery. If you don't have silk ribbons, you can substitute other stitches in these flowers. You can interchange them all and swap the stitches over so that you can work them all in the way that you want to work them. And I'm also going to put a few beads in. Anybody who watches my videos know I like beads. So I'm going to put a few of those in. Again, if you don't have those, you could work some French knots instead. So I'm just going to demonstrate the stitches that I'm going to use very quickly. We have videos on all of these stitches if you want them in more detail. But let's just go through what we're going to use. So I've just got 3 strands of the linen here. I will tell you as I go through how many strands I'm using for the flowers. That's also in the PDF as well if you want to check that out and you want to know more about that. So we're going to start with a really simple stitch. I'm going to do a back stitch. So this is a stitch that I'm going to use for the stems. So basically it just consists of a few stitches joined together, and I'm coming forward, back on myself into the previous stitch, and that just joins the stitches up, makes a really nice thin flat line. If you want a nice thin stem, this is a really simple, nice one to do. So ahead and then back into that previous stitch and just join your stitches up like that. Another one that I can use for a stem is one called stem stitch. So we take that forward stitch again, but actually come up now in between those 2 points before I pull it tight, and each stitch overlaps. So the back stitch joins a previous one, these ones actually overlap, and then that comes up in the middle, which is the end of the previous one. You can see I'm holding the thread out the way there, making that little loop, coming back up in between, pulling it tight, and that makes more of a substantial stem. So if you want something a little bit thicker, this is a great stitch for that. Just looks like a little rope. So that's stem stitch. So the next one I'm going to show you is a fly stitch. This is really great for single stitches, or you can put them together and you can make rows. They're good for leaves and ferns. So stitch 1. So you come up on one side, down on the other where you want the width of that stitch. We make that little loop, you come up inside the loop, pull it towards you, and you can decide how long you want this little stalk on it. I'll do another one. You can go this way if you want to. If you're left-handed, you might want to reverse this and go right to left. Come up inside the loop, tension it towards you, little stem on the end. You can then put them together. So that's a single one. And then if I do one immediately underneath it, we can do a closed fly stitch. So So that's closing the stitches together, and they make more of a solid shape. And this one is really good for leaves if you want to do leaves. Always hop to this one first, because you can do some beautiful shapes with it. You can get really delicate ones. I'm doing exactly the same stitch, but just doing them one underneath the other. It's one of my favourite stitches. Flowers especially is an eyelet stitch, so we're just going to go around in a circle. I'm not going to worry about whether these are the same length. So they come up on the outside, down into the middle. We just form a circle. Make sure you go around in a circle so you get the tension right. You can always get the needle down the hole. You can make these longer. You can make them shorter. You can do them closer together. So really versatile stitch, and they look really pretty and look like instant flowers. So we're going to use this stitch for some of the flowers. You may all have heard of a lazy daisy. Well, a lazy daisy stitch is made up of detached chain stitches. I'm going to come up and down in the same hole, and then that forms a little loop. And I come up inside that loop, tension it towards me, and that makes a little chain. Don't pull it too tight or the chain will disappear. And then just to finish that off, because that's loose at the moment, finish it off, we have to stitch down the other side of that chain just to catch it down. So these make really wonderful leaves. You can do petals with them as well, like the lazy daisies. We're going to do that one too. So up and down where you start. Make a little loop, come up inside that loop, tension it towards you. Don't forget just to go over the end just to hold that in place. So I'm going to add a few beads into my flowers. This is a seed bead. They come in lots of different sizes. We have several videos on how to apply beads and lots of different ways you can put beads down. But I'll just show you quickly. So I've got 2 strands here, 2 is a bit stronger in case one of them breaks. Just thread it onto the needle, slide it to the bottom of the thread, and the needle goes down the other side. Slide it on, make sure you take it to the bottom, push it along so it lies flat, and the needle goes down the other side of the bead. If you don't have any beads, you can do some French knots. We have the ultimate guide to French knots. If they're your nemesis and you hate them, do check that video out, because it shows you how to do them in real detail and what to do when they're going wrong. But I'll show you one quickly. So you go over the needle and back, over the needle and back. If you want to do a couple of times, I've got a thin thread here, back down into the fabric near where you came out, pull that tight, that's the key, and then pull it through, and that makes a little knot. Do one more. I'm going to go around twice just because I've got a fine thread, but you can use a thicker thread. The key is to pull that tight there, pull your needle through to the back, and that makes a little knot. And I'll just show you quickly how to start and finish, and a couple of ribbon stitches if you want to use some silk ribbon. This is pure 100% silk ribbon. It's nice and soft for this. This is 4mm wide, and you use a chenille needle for this because it's got a long thin eye and a point on the end. So you just put your ribbon into the eye, and then just to fasten it to the needle, you just put the needle through the end of the ribbon, and then you just pull on that like so. Again, we've got loads of videos on silk ribbon if this is something you're interested in, but I'm just going to show you that quickly. Then I'm going to turn the frame over and show you how to start it on the back. So this is where that backing fabric comes in handy, because I'm just going to pick up a tiny little bit of it. I'm not going through to the front there. Pull it through to the end, and then you can just catch the needle in the end of the silk ribbon, go through the middle of it, and you're sort of tying it on. Pull it tight, and that's a nice flat start. There's no knots or anything that can come undone, and then we can start stitching on the front. A couple of really easy stitches that you can actually do in ordinary embroidery thread as well. This first one is just going to do a straight stitch, and the beauty of the silk is that it's really spreads out like that, and it really makes beautiful leaves and beautiful petals as well. I'm just going to go down the other side, where the other end, where the length that I want my stitch to be. I'm just going to guide that down. I'm not going to pull it all the way through, not really tightly. It's just nice if you just let that ribbon just settle like that, and it looks like an instant petal or an instant leaf. Just do another one over here. You can decide how long you want that to be. You can just see I'm just letting that ribbon lie flat, not pulling it really tight. It just makes that beautiful petal shape. And the other one that you can do, is do ribbon stitch. So we're going to do the same that we've just done, but instead of just going back into the fabric, I'm going to go through the actual ribbon, and you'll see what happens at the end. It just curls up to a little point. So if we want some leaves with some nice points on, or petals with some nice points, this is a really nice one to do. I'll do one that way as well. Go through the ribbon, get that nice point, and then I'll just show you how to finish on the back. So you can just thread your ribbon underneath some of that backing fabric just a couple of times, just to secure it. And then you can cut that off, and again a nice neat start and a nice neat finish. So that's just a quick demonstration of the stitches that I'm going to use in these flower sprays. I've got one more stitch that I'll show you when I stitch it on the actual flower, and then I just want to mention quickly how I've put my design on. So I have traced it on. You need a light source underneath, so a light box if you've got one, or a window will work perfectly well if you haven't. And I have used a water erasable pen. This just comes off with a little bit of water on a clean brush, or you can just spray it lightly with a water spray. But there's lots of other ways you can transfer your design. You can check out this video up here for lots of those different methods and find one that suits you. So before I start stitching, I would just like to say a thank you to our YouTube channel members and our patrons. I hope you're enjoying your extra video content. We've got quite a few videos on there now for you. And also to those of you who've clicked the super thanks just to show your appreciation for a particular video that you've liked. That button looks like this here, and you can find that below the video. And your names will scroll across the bottom of the screen, and I'm going to start stitching the first flower spray. So I hope you enjoyed watching me stitch those flower sprays. If you would like to have a go at them, don't forget that free PDF for you to download. You can get that by clicking on the link in the description below the video. If you're at the beginning of your stitching journeys and you'd like something really simple, you could have a go at these 5 flowers using just 2 stitches. And if you're more experienced, there's a little challenge for you. You can have a go at my flower bouquet here. That video you can see down here. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time.